Hey fellow beaders, it's JP and I have a new bracelet tutorial for you. So it's a very simple bracelet and it doesn't require a lot of materials. You're going to need 32 4mm rounds. So I'm using these faceted glass round beads and they're kind of nice because they give off a really great sparkle. So for a 6.5-inch bracelet, which is what I have here, I needed 32 4mm rounds. You're going to need 11 seed beads. And that's it as far as beads go. Then you're going to need a couple of jump rings and a clasp of your choice. And of course, you're going to need fireline. So I would recommend using a 6 to 8 pound fireline and start with an arm span. You'll need about an arm span and a half, depending on the length of your bracelet. Let's get started. Okay, fellow beaders, so to start the bracelet, what you're going to do is basically pick up a round bead, your 4mm round, 4 11 seed beads, another 4mm round, 11 seed beads, 4mm round, 11 seed beads, 4mm round, and 11 seed beads. Then you're going to go ahead and make a circle. So go back through all the beads and you'll form a circle and then tie a knot. So what I've done here is tied a square knot between the beads, and then I'm going to go into my round bead here and the seed beads next to it so that my knot is going to be hidden away within the 4mm round. I'm going to exit out of this next 4mm round just like this. And now what I'm going to do is pick up 5 11-Os. And I'm going to go back through my round bead here. And this will form a loop around this bead, and that's exactly what I want. And now I'm going to make a point. So I just flipped it. And what I'm going to do is skip over I'm going to skip over the middle beads. I'm going to go through these first two, skip the middle one, and I'm going to go back down through the last two beads here in this little loop. And then I'm going to go through the 4mm, just the 4mm. Like that. And you can see as I pull the thread, there's my point. Now, what we're going to do for this one is make another loop that's going to hold our clasp. So I'm going to go in through all 3 of the beads now, so I'm not skipping the middle one this time. And I'm going to pick up 2 of the 11-Os, a 4mm, 5 11-Os, another 4mm, my round bead here, and then 2 more 11-Os. So this is what you have, and I'm going to go back through. Let me push these down. There's a little slack here, so I'm just going to give it a little tug. And then I'm going to go back through the same 11-O that the thread is exiting. And this is what your piece should look like. So at this point, you just want to reinforce this piece. And so I'm just going to flip it so I can work in this direction. I'm sure as you guys know, I'm a lefty. So I'm going through 4 beads. Get my tail out of the way there. I'm going to skip this middle bead And then I'm going to go down 2 beads, the 4mm, and down these last 2 seed beads. Okay, so I didn't get through that last one, but I'm going to go ahead and go back. Or not go back, but go through that bead that I missed. So there, so now I went through that second bead that I missed, and then we're back where we started. So for the sake of time, I'm not actually going to go through this a third time, but you actually should go through it a couple more times to make it nice and secure. So I'm going to go ahead and, well, let's see. I'll just go ahead and do it just to reinforce this. Because this is where the clasp is going to go, and you want this to be as secure as possible. So your bracelet doesn't fall apart, because this is essentially where a good chunk of the stress is going to be on the bracelet. And now I'm through it. And it's probably about the last time I'm going to be able to get through this seed bead anyway. Okay, so now to continue on, go back down these seed beads in the loop. Through the 4mm, and we'll go through these seed beads, and you're gonna, actually, I have one more step. I almost forgot. So you should still be coming out of this 4mm, and we actually have to pick up 5 more 11/0 seed beads and make our second loop here. Now we can continue. So I'm going to leave that second loop for now and exit out of this next 4mm. Just like this. Pick up 5 11/0s. And we're going to go back through this loop now. So I'm just going to turn it. And I'm going to make my point. So I'm going to go through 2 beads. Skip the middle bead, go down 2 beads. And go through the 4mm bead here. Just like this. Now we're going to continue to the next 4mm. I'm going to pick up 5 11/0s and make my first loop. Just like this. Then I'm going to do it again. I'm going to pick up 5 more 11/0s and go through it again. So this loop is now on top, and what I'm going to do is we're going to connect this loop and this loop together, And so you're going to go up into the loop and come out of that middle bead. Okay, so you want to come out of this third bead in the loop. You're going to pick up an 11-0 and you're going to go through the third bead in this loop over here on across the way here. Just like that. Pick up another one and you're going to come back out of this original 11-0 where you started. And you should have a little square, and I'm going to go ahead and reinforce that here. So I'm just going back through the beads. Of course, the thread is wrapping around these little other beads here. I want that. There we go. So this is going to require a little bit of patience because it's really tight to work there in that little area, but there you have it. There's my little square and I've secured all the beads. So I'm actually going to go back down these two beads here. Through the 4mm that is over here. And through these 11-0s and exit out of this fourth 4mm. And we're going to make our last little loop before we continue on. So you pick up 5 11-0s, go through this 4mm, and I want to make sure this tail thread is kind of out of the way. Just like that. I'm going to flip the work. And we're going to go up to these 2 beads, skip this one, and then down these last 2 beads. Making our point, and there's our point. And you can go through this one more time. Just going to, to speed things up a little bit, I'm just going to go ahead and skip that. And I'm going to go back through these next 4 beads, and we're coming out of our first 4mm that we started with. Okay, so turn the work again. So this is our loop that we made over here with the 4mm. And so if this feels a little insecure, it's time to go ahead and make that a little more secure. So I'm going to go through all of these beads here that are part of this loop. I'm going to come back down. Just like that, and back through the 4mm. you may find that this is actually going to be a little bit tighter now. And back up these beads again. Into this third bead. Through this next bead. Now if you want to go around this group of 4, you can. To make it another reinforcing step, you can do that. I think I've secured it pretty well here in mine, so I'm going to go back down through this bead here and work my way down the loop. So I'm coming out of this 11-0 now. Through the 4mm. And you remember this loop that I set aside? Well, that's the next step now. So we're going to go ahead and make our point again. So go through 2 of them. Skip that third one. Go through the next 2. And back through that 4mm. Okay, and there's my point. So now you are going to go back up, and this time you're going to go into that third bead, because now we are going to continue to make our next unit. So far, this is what your whole piece should look like. Okay, so you're going to go up the 2 seed beads and then also the middle one this time. Like so. You are going to pick up 2 11-0s, a 4mm, then 5 11-0s, and another 4mm round, and 2 more 11-0s. And I got 1 too many there. Okay. And you go back around that middle seed bead. So what you end up with is this. All right, so now we have to reinforce this, and what you're going to do is just go through all the beads. And you're not going to skip any, like we've done before here, and you'll see why in a minute. So reinforce it at least once. Now I'm going to go back through it again, and you can reinforce it more than I'm doing here, but I'm just going to, for the sake of the camera, I'm going to not do that, or sake of the time, I'm not going to do that. So now this time I'm only going to go through 2 seed beads, the 4mm, and then the 3 seed beads. Just like that. And what you're going to do is pick up 2 seed beads, a 4mm, and 2 more seed beads, and you're going to go through it. So this is what your piece should look like. at this time. I'm reinforcing. I'm just going back through all the beads. And so I'm back through that center bead here. And now I'm going to go back up. And I'm going to go into this one. Like so. Now once you're exiting out of the 4mm, what you're going to do is pick up 4 11-0s followed by a 4mm. And then you are going to repeat this step 2 more times. So 4 more seed beads, a 4mm, 4 more, a 4mm, and push those down, and then pick up 4 more 11-0s. And go back through this 4mm. And now you're starting your next unit. So now you're starting this unit over here. Again. Now, and what I'm going to recommend is going ahead and reinforcing this. So go through, actually we'll skip the reinforcement for a second. I'm going to go ahead and make a second loop here for this center design. So I'm going to make this loop and go through our 4mm here. Just like that. And I'm going to leave that. And I'm going to go up these seed beads here. And I'm going to come out of this guy here. I'm going to pick up 5 11-0s. I'm going to make my loop. Just like that, and I'm going to continue on. The 4 here, I'm going to come out here. Pulling my thread nice and tight, and I'm going to do 2 loops here around this 4mm. So here's my 5 seed beads, and this is going to be the first loop. And then I'm going to pick up 5 more. And this is going to be my second loop. Okay, just like that. So now I'm going to connect these 2 loops here together. So I got this one and this one. They need to get connected. So I'm going to turn the work a little bit so I can work. I'm going to go up into the 3 seed beads here. Oh, it looks like I got 6 in this loop. So let me just pull that one out and fix that. All right, well, I'm going to fix that off camera. I'll be right back. Okay, so as I was saying, we got to fix this. Or I fixed it rather. So I'm coming out of that center seed bead. I'm going to pick up a seed bead and I'm going to connect to the middle seed bead on the loop on the opposite side. So pull your thread nice and tight. I seem to have slack here. and pick up another 11-0 and go back through the middle bead on the other side. Just like so. And we're going to reinforce the center. Raw unit is what I call that. Okay, we're gonna go back down these 2 seed beads and go through the 4mm. Okay, I hope you guys are seeing this very well, or seeing this well. Sorry. Go through the 4mm and up the 4 11-0s. Got 2, and I got 1 more over here. There you are, and you're going to make a loop here by picking up 5 seed beads, like I'm doing, and going back around our 4mm. I'm going to go back through it one more time, this loop. To reinforce the loop, and which is what I just did. Now I'm going to create the point on this one. So this time when I go back through, I'm just going to go through 2 of the seed beads, skip that middle one, and go through the next 2 seed beads. And that creates your point. Just like that, and then you go into that 4mm. You get a nice stiff point. Now we'll go through these last 4 seed beads and exit out of this 4mm. Just like so. I'm actually going to go up here in this center loop and reinforce this loop because I hadn't reinforced it on this side. So I'm going through them all. So, and then I'm exiting out of the 4mm, and then I'm just going through the 4 11-0s there. So that should tighten everything up, remove any slack in the thread. And then in this guy, we gotta create a point on this guy too. So go through the 4mm, and we're gonna skip the 2. And you can reinforce this loop. So actually, let's go ahead and reinforce this loop first. Go through all the beads, not skipping any. Go through the 4mm. And this time we'll skip the 3rd bead here. So we'll go through 2. Skip the middle bead and go through the next 2. And just pop this bead up Get the thread and you go through the 4mm here. And that's what you should get. Okay, now we go through these 4 seed beads and the next piece here. All right, so basically I've shown you how to continue with this bracelet, because the next piece here, you're gonna make this unit. So I'm gonna go through 3 seed beads, so you pick up 2 11/0s, a 4mm, and then 5 11/0s, then a 4mm, and 2 more. Pull those down, go through this middle one again, and there you have it. So go ahead and reinforce this, and you're going to exit out. So first thing I'm going to do is just reinforce to come back all the way around. So I'm just going through the seed beads. Now come out of the center bead here in this group of 5. So you're coming out of that middle one. You're going to pick up 2 11/0s, a 4mm, and 2 11/0s. And you are going to go back through that same middle seed bead. And that's what you're going to get. Go through the beads, we're going to reinforce. Okay, so I've reinforced, and I want to exit now out of my 4mm. And we're back to this. So I think you guys can guess what's next. I'm running low on thread, so I'm going to stop here and have you guys continue on your own. So if you can refer back. So the next step is you're going to be making this circle, this outer circle here. And so you're going to pick up 4 11/0s, a 4mm, 4 11/0s, 4mm, 4 11/0s, 4mm, and 4 more 11/0s. So you get a total of 4. With including this one, you'll get a total of 4 4mm, and in between there's 4 11/0s between the beads. That's what you want to do next. All right, let's keep going and I'll show you how to finish up. If you continued with the bracelet, then this is what you'll have. So I stopped off at about here. I made a couple more units. So I made actually 3 more of the big units and also 3 more of the little units. And all you have to do to finish off is actually just tie off your thread. And you guys know how to do half-hitch knots, so it should be very easy for you. And so this bracelet, I called it an intermediate tutorial because it was somewhat complex and lots of going back through threads and so forth. But hopefully you guys are able to do it. Let me know how it worked out for you, and if you make the bracelet, definitely post some pictures on my Facebook page. I always love seeing what you guys do with it and, you know, what colors you guys use in your beads. And if you make any, adjustments or changes, because sometimes I actually think you guys do a different, make a slight change in, say, the clasp portion or something. And I think you guys do a better job than what I came up with. So I, especially enjoy seeing what you guys come up with. So please go ahead and post on my Facebook page. I have the link here in the description box. Anyway, so to finish off, all you're going to need to do is add a jump ring on this one side, and I added a jump ring and a lobster claw on this side. And that should do it. It should pretty much work itself. It's pretty simple, and you'll have a nice, pretty lacy bracelet. And I think this will make a really nice gift. It's got a little bit of sparkle to it. So if you're starting to think about gifts for the holiday, I realize it's only October, but some of these things take time to make. So you definitely want to, get started if you've got a few gifts you want to make. Okay, guys, well, I will see you in the next tutorial. And so my next tutorial is going to be this skull ring. I have a subscriber who's been asking about it, and I'm so sorry it's taken me so long to get it done. I've been wearing this ring quite a bit, so there's a little bit of bruising on my bead here. But this center bead is a skull bead, and I basically made a little collar around the skull, and also just a peyote band. And so it's a pretty simple ring. Again, all you need are seed beads and then these little 2x3 rondelles is what I did here, and my scully. That's it. So stay tuned. This should be coming up in about a week or two. And that's my next tutorial. Especially because it's, October and the month of Halloween. Okay, guys, see you next time.